Everyone, welcome back to New Post today. Today, let's discuss a very important economic issue with regard to the India ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. So, this agreement was being discussed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he was on a visit to the ASEAN meeting in Laos, Vientiane, where in the 10 points that was spelled out at the ASEAN meeting, he had said that there is a need to review the Indian ASEAN Free Trade Agreement because of a trade deficit that India is having with many of the countries in the ASEAN bloc. And issues like trade deficit, dumping along with subsidies and high imports with regard to rise and also rising trade deficit are some of the concerns that why Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that there is a need to review the Indian ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. So the review is intended to address the barriers and also the misuse, especially of the trade pact, where Chinese goods are coming into India via the ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, and it is also aiming to create more opportunities on the businesses of both sides as well. The review is conducted by 8 subcommittees in focusing on different areas of concern like the national treatment, rules of origin, standards, technical regulations, custom procedure and trade facilitation. And this review began in September 2022 during the 16th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting. And the trade deficit, let me tell you, is of India with ASEAN has been rising from 44 billion in 2023 compared to 8 billion in financial year 2013. ASEAN is a very important trade bloc of India and also is an important neighborhood area from the Look East policy and also the neighborhood first policy of the government of India. ASEAN consists of accounts for almost 11% of India's trade, and it includes members like Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand. And the review was mentioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the 10-point plan that was spelled out to enhance cooperation between the two regions amid the widening trade deficit concerns with the ASEAN country. India is facing tariff asymmetry with regard to the ASEAN agreement and is aiming a complete review of the agreement by the year end. The review of the India and ASEAN deal was mentioned by Prime Minister, as I said, in the 10-point plan to further improve relations between the nations. And let me tell you that there is a complete tariff asymmetry with a blanket 74% plus tariff elimination for the ASEAN nations, therefore benefiting and also many of the imports coming to India. India is therefore, as it's not a customs union, India is exploring discussion country-wise, and India signed this trade deal in 2009. Let me tell you, the ASEAN is a very important source for palm oil, natural gas, and also natural rubber products that are sourced from Thailand. However, the Indian industry has been calling for anti-subsidy measures against the industrial imports from ASEAN on the grounds that the Chinese are using this agreement now to reroute their products towards India, and they are instead benefiting by the Indian ASEAN deal. Moreover, the trade deficit between the two regions also has been growing phenomenally, especially after the pandemic era. Fears of fresh surge in the imports have been emerged after ASEAN joined the Chinese-led regional comprehensive economic partnership, out of which India actually had pulled out due to concerns over rising imports from China and increasing trade deficit. China and ASEAN trade is on the rise, and with the trade between the two regions going from 15% to much more than 20% in the present times. So the two sides agreed to initiate therefore this review in 2019, and this with 8 committees being set up. There is a high concern about the trade deficit. There is a concern about dumping and also misusing of the tariffs by countries like China, rerouting the products using the ASEAN agreement. So trade, once India has a discussion with these countries, definitely there will be discussions for more of exports from India and also elimination or reducing of the trade deficit. This will also benefit India to review other free trade agreements with other countries and also to keep in mind these shortcomings while India is going ahead to sign many other trade agreements as well. So recently India signed free trade agreements with Australia, UAE as well. In the future, these are some of the points, major points where India can keep in mind the disadvantages of a free trade agreement, so that the points of the rules of the business can be followed with regard to trade, especially keeping the increase, the industry, the nature of industry in India in mind before signing free trade agreements, such that the imports from the other countries do not damage the local industries. So on the cards is the review of the Indian ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. Free trade agreement is an important characteristic feature of globalization, something which we started in 1991, opening of the Indian market to the world and also India's participation in the world market. Free trade agreements have played a major role in integrating India's market with the world economy. But then, apart from the advantages, there are also disadvantages, especially while getting into free trade agreements. The nature of the local industry and especially the capabilities of the local industry have to keep in mind, so that both the sides of the party reap the most with regard to the free trade agreement, and it is not damaging or hurting either one of the parties to the benefit of other more than the other. So these are some of the important points that I thought I should be discussing with regard to the review of the Indian ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. If you did like, please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to comment at the end of the video. I shall see you in the next post tomorrow. Until then, it's very happy learning.